Good evening, VC. So this is a response to Shrev's Julius. I don't remember, sorry, but it was quite a good thread about 10 jazz LPs from the 70s live recordings. Yeah, I have some jazz. I have some of those. I think 12 records were featured. Most of my jazz records are upstairs in the main house, so I had to do with what I had here in the studio. And we start with probably my favorite jazz record ever, or at least the one I listen to the most. Dollar Brand, Abdullah Ibrahim, featuring Humair, Don Cherry, Talib Raine, Carlos Ward, Johnny Diani, Claude Jones, John Betch, Roy Brooks, and Abdullah Ibrahim, the South African pianist, New York resident for a long time, father of Apani B-Fly, the great rapper from the 90s, 2000s. This is Hajj, The Journey, recorded September 17th in, I don't exactly remember when it was, but yeah, it's obviously a 70s recording, and well, as you can see, yeah, what really is strange to me with this record is how underrated it is. You can still find it for very cheap online, or I guess any time you find it, since everyone is matching the price to Discogs. Let me see if there's a date here. It's 1977, a great year if you know me. So yeah, this is live 70s jazz album, a great one. We'll probably be hearing this in the background throughout the video, but right now we're gonna move to this. Steve Kuhn, live in New York, Raindrops. This is not the original pressing, I think there's an earlier one. However, this was released in '76 and the recording is from November '72. This track is quite exceptional. Steve Kuhn is shifting from acoustic piano to electric piano, and what really gets me there is Bruce Ditmas on drums. Bruce Ditmas is probably my favorite jazz drummer with Tony Williams, and well, I have many, as you probably all have. So this is a track called Ida Lupino. I think it's a Carla Bley composition originally, and this is great. Some Fostex reverb. Well, next Next we'll have this Don Cherry in live in Ankara, and we'll be listening quickly to two flutes. So this is a recording with Temiz, the great Turkish drummer, with two other Turkish musicians. You have the creator has a master plan from Faro Sanders, a few Ornette Coleman tracks, and mostly Don Cherry. This was recorded at the US Embassy in Ankara, in Turkey, in oh, sorry. My bad, this was from 1969, but this was released in the 70s. So, anyways, this is quite a hard record, contrary to what this track lets you believe. It's quite wild, the drums are everywhere, and not for the hard-fainted, but really, really great record. So next we have something quite strange. I don't really know how to describe it to you, apart from the fact that it is close to my origins in many ways. Après la marée noire, after the oil leakage, towards a new Brittany music, which is an all-star band headed by François Tusques, the French leading free jazz pianist from the 60s, 70s and so on. Still, as of today, hopefully. So this features traditional Brittany musicians playing with free jazz, spiritual jazz players such as Michel, Joe Maca, Kilicus, Ramadolf, and musicians playing the Biniou, La Bombarde, but of course François Tusques is heading it all with the Intercommunal Free Dance Music Orchestra. And this is a recording from I think it was from 77 as well. Blimey, 79, almost out of the rules again. So something else. Have Monnette Sudler live in Europe. Monnette Sudler Quartet. Monnette Sudler was the guitarist on the legendary recording from the Free Liberation Orchestra, the Bayard Lancaster Can Jamal album on Dogtown, which is also a record I could have featured on this, but it's become a bit of a cliche, too much of a classic in many ways. Amazing recording with reverb on every instrument, which makes them the spiritual jazz, almost experimental music. So this is This was released on Steeplechase. I think it's a recording from... which year is this? I guess from 1978, actually recorded in Denmark. Yeah, free jazz, you don't always associate it with guitar, unless it's Derek Bailey and Fred Frith maybe, but women, African American woman playing the guitar in free jazz, that's Monnette Sudler, and she's great. What next? Ooh. Maybe my favorite free jazz record cover ever. What a beauty. Clifford Thornton, The Panther and the Lash on America Records. Surprisingly a French label. This was recorded on November 7th, 1970, live at the Maison de la Radio, which is the national French radio. And it is just an amazing record. Also featuring François Tusques on piano, Celeste balafon, Noel McGee on percs and drums. Noel McGee, I think he's from Jamaica, but he was fairly established in France at the time and still to this day. Bev Guérin on the double bass, Clifford Thornton on cornet, Chennai, Volve, trombone, maracas, the piano as well. So this is fairly hardcore communist free jazz music, as a lot of free jazz from France was back then, and probably ever. So next something probably everyone is aware of in some way or another. Oh yeah. I guess some of you will recognize what this cover means. This is Sun Ra, space probe, from the early 70s, live recordings on El Saturne. This is, there's 3 tracks. This is Conversation, I think. The Conversation, which I think was recorded live in Italy, if I remember correctly. This is, I'm not the biggest Sun Ra fan. I love Media Dreams, Disco 3000, and this one. These are the ones, the Sun Ra recordings I keep, I believe. Maybe a few other. I like the Walt Dickerson album that Sun Ra did, but this is a pretty cool cover with the handmade collage of Sun Ra himself, probably made by himself. So this is pretty low-key and minimalist recording. I love it. This is what I expect from Sun Ra. I'm not too much into his big orchestra stuff, but to each their own. Good thing I just took a shower, so my fingers are quite clean. So next is something quite special, quite odd. This is La sorcellerie à travers les âges, Witchcraft throughout time, which is basically Jean-Luc Ponty, Daniel Humair, Michel Portal, Phil Woods, Eddy Luis also not credited on this version of the record because of some contractual issue. There's two versions of this cover. So this is basically these guys making an original soundtrack to this very old movie from Colin Dreyer from the, I believe, 1919. Like it's a 100-year-old movie now, I guess. And this was like a live show, like basically the movie was projected and they were playing to it, improvising. And for some reason this record is still under the radar. Pretty cool cover. I don't know, like this should be a record that is difficult to get your hand on because it's so special. And for some reason you're lucky if you like this because you will be able to find it for quite cheap still. What do we have next? Getting towards the end. Something a little out as well here. Malvaldon on Futura, the Parisian label. Live November 1970. So Paris was quite wild in 1970. A lot of good stuff was happening there because Gérard Théonès, the boss of this label, had a disc club, and either he was releasing the shows or producing side performances in studios. This is recorded in the American Cultural Center in around Saint-Germain-des-Prés, and this is Malvaldon solo back when he was I think it's right at the beginning of his relearning the piano after he had a stroke, which made him forget completely how to play the piano, and so he had to start from scratch, and I believe he even had to change completely his technique, and this is just a beauty. Of course, he has many recordings with Steve Lacy around that time, also on America Recordings and on other labels, which are amongst the best stuff of Steve Lacy. And there's also these records on Hat Hut records, but this is really amazing. And I guess we're gonna finish with something extremely special for me. Probably the wildest record I have in many ways. Baby, Milford Graves, with Arthur Doyle and Hugh Glover on reeds. This is the wildest free jazz record that I have. This was recorded in 1976 at a music store in New York. Milford Graves holds a very special place in my heart, in my musical world, and he has this odd career. There is there's a documentary that was released fairly recently, I believe, about his life and his attitude towards music and martial arts and heartbeat, how he's thinking his percussion and his drumming around many aspects, and how he makes connections between his body and the mechanism of the body and the way he plays. I think he's from Chicago, or at least that he lives there. Anyways, this is just a fabulous record that is a landmark of free jazz, in my opinion. I don't understand how this hasn't been reissued yet, because it has become quite difficult to get. For some reason, there are some copies you can find every now and then in Europe, but there you go. So that was 10 records, 10 live jazz records from the 70s, almost, but one. And I hope you enjoyed that, the chaos of this video. And I hope you're well. I don't know when I'll be back, probably for something completely different. Maybe we'll be listening to this. Who knows? Maybe we'll be listening to this, or I don't know. We'll be listening to something, talking about something cool, unexpected, and until then, please go check the original videos that inspired this one. It will be linked down there, and I think I'm off to the bathroom now.